It's the leader. He's the wizard. He's forcing the mouth open.
Well, stop him. Kill him or something.
My dagger is gone. You kill him.
Not me. It's bad luck to kill a wizard.
Wait. There's a better way to take care of a wizard.
Welcome to As Garfield Intended, with your host, the Ebon Hand.
Hello, everyone. Today we're going to sit down with Josh Burgoa and Cayce Grissom, the guys from Music City Oldschool in Nashville. We've got an upcoming event, so we talk a lot of Alpha to Alliances and ramble on far too long, as is typical. So, hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gorilla Shaman Junk Removal Service. If you have a bunch of pesky artifacts making your neighborhood look cluttered, it's time to call in the experts. With one call, a team of expertly trained shamans will descend on your hood like housewives at a Black Friday sale. They remove all those awful artifacts so fast you will think someone cast Shatterstorm. But don't fret, because these lovable monkeys only remove the items you want to be demolished. They will leave all your tacky shit right where you left it. And you won't believe their low prices. Gorilla Shaman works so damn cheap you will have to read the contract twice to believe it. Gorilla Shaman, your reliable rampaging gorilla in the China shop since 1995.
Not responsible for damage resulting from control magic, Old Man of the Sea, or clone.
Steve and Jonathan, I think, are hoping. I think they're planning to go to your event, so
yeah,
that gets them an invite on the pod tonight. So
for sure, happy to have you guys. And that's the only way I got invited to this, so thank you guys.
Yeah, really
that's harsh, man.
Yeah, like, I mean, it sounds like you already won, bro.
It festered Jonathan a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, why don't you guys introduce yourself? We've got a new pod here. Today we're going to talk Bootleggers Ball Christmas edition, right?
Ooh.
Josh, why don't you give yourself a quick introduction so we know who we're talking to?
Yeah, so I am I'm Josh B on the Discord. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I've just shown up enough to the Nashville area events that they finally just called me one of their own. Just show up enough and you'll eventually make it in. So that's the route I took.
Yeah, it tends to work in old school, definitely. The guy's there the most often. You're just a local.
Flying from Sweden, can't get rid of him.
Yeah, there have been several attempts. I've been sent to the wrong venue multiple times. It's getting a little dicey, but they haven't figured out about the tracking system I've put in on a couple key members that I get to cross-reference. So it's all good.
All right. I'm Cayce Grissom. I don't know how your podcast does if it's only audio, but I'm the person who's talking now. I have been part of the Nashville group since, I guess, its inception. Like, I was there from early days. But yeah, going on, I guess we're at 5 years, I suppose.
I was going to ask, how many years have you guys been doing this? So
yeah,
just we have YouTube. We'll do a YouTube and we do the podcast. So we probably talk way too much visual. Yeah, it's probably better to watch a lot of these when we're, we had an hour and a half discussion about drawing dicks on cards. Like, you probably want to see that on YouTube, because just hearing it, your mind can go in bad directions.
You guys wouldn't believe how good this dick looks. Really, you got to see it.
I believe.
Theater of the mind. Maybe you listen to it first and then you watch it later. You're like, wow, look where my mind was.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we do have both. I like to share decks and look at things and all that stuff too. So a little bit of both. Just give you a heads up. So all right, back to 5 years in. You said on this thing. Has this always been same format, Alpha Alliances, every time?
No, we can get into that after we get through introductions, but I did want to say our Christmas event has been we've done it since year one. So I remember the first Christmas event was in Bowersox's parents' dining room with 5 of us, and that
we got to censor that name. It's just lying, right? We can't dox him.
Well, I didn't say his first name, so who knows?
Well,
But
those
yeah,
are
our
some of the
Christmas
best
event's kind of a
ones.
tradition. So
Yeah, I was actually just looking up when I was pulling some deck lists to email you guys over. I just saw the first Christmas event tournament report, which I hadn't been to. I didn't join up with these guys until the summer event the next year in 2018. But they called it the Gingerbread Jam. I thought that was pretty dope. It didn't have any. It was our only Christmas event that didn't have any Ice Age cards, because that's been the thing ever since. We started. It was just regular old school for that year. We added Ice Age the next year, and then A to A became the thing the following. So I guess 2019. Although actually, I don't. Yeah, 2019.
yes, and I guess I can go into how we developed that. The allure of Ice Age was too much to resist. And so that first year we had it at the coffee shop, right? And that was the first Christmas event you were at, Josh.
Yeah, it was 12 people.
Yeah. So we had a really good event. It was a lot of fun. Adding Ice Age added a ton to the format itself, and we just had such a blast with it. We kind of got to talking about like, hey, we have Ice Age, we have Homelands, but like, where does Alliances fit into this? And we had gone so far taking cues from the Chicago group that we were kind of really stuck on what the Eternal Central website had on it. And then we just kind of were like, let's try it, I guess. And so sure. I wrote up a blog post and we tried it out, and it was probably one of the most fun times I've had playing old school, that first 808 event. And man, it breaks the format wide open. It's a whole new gig,
Oh, it definitely does. I mean, honestly, what we've been playing, we do Alpha Alliances ante. And but we'll do any printing, it has to be the old art, basically. And that really opens it up, because now you don't want to go too nuts on things, right? You don't want to spend too much, because you are ante. And so most of our ante decks are maybe around $100 or something like, and maybe, every now and we'll get some spicy ones in there. And then of course, if you lose it, you get it altered and you give it to your opponent. But it's very, I mean, it's super fun, because now you're trying to brew around a budget, plus these crazy Alpha and Alliances cards you can throw in there. And if you feel like going for it, we'll throw in a Force of Will or something every now and then. Maybe we got one contract. We banned Mind Twist. We got one Jeweled Bird allowed in their 60 card deck. So man, it's been so fun. Like Steven's hook too. Like we have stacks and stacks of freaking anti decks. I've got maybe eight to 10 anti decks right now. He just can't like stop going down. How many you got, Steve? You got?
I've got 6 together. I was actually looking through that binder earlier today. I've got 9 birds from you this year.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it, but I am good at getting that Jeweled Bird out there. So
I've given away a lot of Jeweled Birds. It's a great format. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got 9. I know some of the other guys have a ton too, but
so I haven't heard much about this before. What are some of the decks? So you have this budgetary restriction, and
well, there's no restriction. I did run my CE recall for a little bit.
The ante is the mental budget.
Yeah, it's a personal one, and it's a blast.
What are some of the archetypes that you've come up with?
I mean, Necropotence is pretty good, but boy, he was salty when he lost one. So there is a very good altered Necropotence with multiple dicks around. He kept going like, man, that's a lot of money. The guy's a slave to value. So Necro's good. I do all right with a juxtapose Rook Egg deck, which is kind of cool.
That does.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a ton of different random things. I actually Enduring Renewal, Atog, Ornithopter is kind of a thing that I've actually pulled off a few times.
We had a good Enduring Renewal deck in our first. It was actually OS 95. It was before it was 8A, right? Sonny had one in our 2018 event.
Yeah, that was it. He used it to he used it Enduring Renewal and Ornithopters in combination with Ashnod's Altar in order to power like rocket launcher or fireball.
No.
Yeah, so I just made a big ATOG. I used one ornithopter and one ornithopter or whatever from Homelands. See, it's actually flying. You can pump it up, so you can actually, with Enduring Renewal, if you get them in a lock, you can just start attacking for 2 every turn. There's a stupid flyer that dies and comes right back, cost 1. So you can sack it to the altar, get 2 pet for 1. You still get the infinite mana, or you can run it the other way. So yeah, I don't know. I love just finding those little random cards that you don't see in old school all the time, So that's been our exposure to it, and it is a blast. So I was really excited to come down there this year, and kind of falls around on a family event with my wife and stuff I can't get out of course. And then, but I in a way we've been kind of prepping for it, because I'm like, I didn't know what to expect. And
you might be the second most experienced A club in the world at this point. I don't think we've really talked to anybody that was super into it, to be honest. So that's actually super cool to hear that you guys.
Well, it is fun, but then it's way different as soon as you start throwing duels in there and stuff. Like we'll run the Ice Age duels and stuff because they're affordable, but I mean, no one's running Abyss and Mana Drains and stuff like that for ante. So I don't know that we know anything more at all. But Gorilla Shaman's still good, and
man, I'll tell you what. Once people are powering up, that card gets unbelievable, just absolutely a beating. People don't respect it until you choose them up.
We made our own set of moxes. We got 2 of them done so far.
Sweet.
Steve actually drew the green one,
and we
printed right on there that they're legal in the presence of the Ebon Hand. So we use those for ante to kind of get the feel for it. So we're starting to make some we're only printing 100, and so if you lose them, it's a real deal. So it kind of makes it fun. We did that hopefully by next year we'll have all the moxing done and maybe a few things. It'll feel more like what you guys are playing, on an ante basis. But
yeah, and I like that kind of recreation of the early days of actual scarcity and a limit, and you have the potential to lose your power card in ante. And if that's it. You just got to grind enough games to get them back. That's really cool.
It's super. It's probably the most fun. I don't know. It is great. So mono red's really strong, as you might guess. So I got like a pro red. What's the Norwal and a Sleight of Mind deck put together, which is kind of cool.
Sea Sprites, yeah.
Yeah,
Sea Sprites
protection, slights is kind of cool, because when you see the mono red burn guys showing up. Anyhow, our meta is gonna be different than yours.
Yeah, for sure.
Along the same line, it is still a blast. I love that whole card pool. It's just so big, and it's got and to me, it's got everything in Magic, really. That's, you start really getting in there.
One of the interesting parts for me about it is seeing how the meta shifts every time we get together. So I think the first.
Can you go into more details about the most recent 4 metas, if you could?
Well, I mean, that's just it. They have swung wildly from one end to another. So there was a big combo meta last Christmas. Like, I took down our event with a Necro Mirror combo deck, but Alan was in the finals with me with a mono blue combo deck, which honestly is so this one's mine up on the screen.
Yeah, that was yours. So that's a little more typical. You got Necro, Rituals, Mirror Universe, Drain Life, the usual.
If I were to do it over again, I would tinker with the number of Drain Lives and Mirrors and potentially Limdal's Vaults. But I mean, also, if you count this, I think I was running 62 cards. Like, this was an insane pile. Like,
that's even one extra for you, bud.
I know. I typically run 61, and I just couldn't find the cut on this list. And I was like, all right.
More 62.
You've got all the blue power. You got 4 Force of Will, which is pretty strong, plus the Mana Drain, a Merchant Scroll to go get one if you're short a counter. Yeah, I mean, that's a strong combo. I definitely have seen that. Well, I think, is this the second place? This is the combo deck.
Yep, that is Alan's. I'm glad you have this. So, I mean, his deck, if you want to pin it down to a type, is Power Monolith. But at the bottom, you see Field of Dreams and you see Thought Lash. Those two enchantments on the table together means that he has on his upkeep the ability to demonic tutor for any card he wants. So
I'm trying to remember Thought Lash here. All right, cumulative upkeep.
Thought Lash, you can. Well, first of all, it has a cumulative upkeep of removing the top card of your library from the game. So on your upkeep, you got to pitch one. Otherwise, it has an ability where you may choose to remove the top card of your library from the game and prevent a damage. And it's the next damage. So you don't have to have damage coming at you in order to activate it. So what he does is, with Field of Dreams, he knows what the top card of his library is at all times. And so on his upkeep, after he pays the cumulative upkeep, he will prevent damage until he is covering a card that he wants. And then he will draw that naturally on his draw step. And like that is an incredibly powerful.
Yeah, so you stack up the whatever combo piece you need.
Yeah.
Go to your draw step, stack up the next one, brainstorm for that. Now you've got them all on the same turn.
Yeah, and so Brainstorm allows him to essentially get rid of trash cards in his hand under a Thought Lash. So like he wants 3 more, pitches 2 that he doesn't need, removes them from the game with Thought Lash, and they're gone. So, and also this is a base blue deck, more so than mine was, and Force of Will does a ton of work.
Yeah.
I don't know how many other deck lists you have from our previous event, but
I see. I got this was third place. I pulled up a few. Yeah, this is third.
These were the top 2 from our last event.
So what's funny is Josh and I didn't discuss what we were going to discuss here, and I'm just going off the dome, and all of the same lists that I want to cover are here. But
okay,
Sonny,
all right. These were ones I pulled up before, and then I saw your email, so I got those as well. We can look at those.
So Sonny was on essentially what is a Delver of Secrets deck. You run with Serendip Efreet and Juggernaut as your tempo creatures. You also have additional damage of Black Vice, which is insane against Necro, and Ankh, which is insane against Necro. Again, a base blue deck that uses Force of Will as a tempo card. Just a fantastic deck.
And he's got some great alters too. I mean,
He's
counter
got
spell
some-
to
he's
shut
got some
up,
good
fuck
stuff.
off on it is amazing. I gotta
You know,
say, I don't know.
I'll tell you what. So Sonny plays Stasis like in 93, 94 and in middle school. So I played against him at this event, and I saw him open on like Island Black Vice, and I was like, all right, I'm prepped. I went all in on this anti-stasis like game plan, and then he just like started dropping dibs and juggernauts. I'm like, man, I really set myself up for failure on this one. He sidestepped the shit out of me.
It was pretty funny, and I'm super glad I didn't have to face his deck, to be honest.
Yeah, it was rough, man. He got me
Yeah.
good.
See, I love Mana Crypt. I wish if we just did one thing to old school, just throw Mana Crypt in there, because
Mana Crypt is insane. Mana
it's
Crypt
so
is truly
good
insane.
to bad to whatever. I don't know. I love seeing that in there too. That's amazing.
It's also in one of our let's see, it was our super secret backyard middle of the pandemic event. We ran an 808, and Sonny took it down, I think, with an ATOG list.
Yeah, I couldn't find any pictures from that one. I don't know that we took any.
We were afraid
Like
of what other
deck
people would
lists.
think of us getting together during the pandemic.
It was pretty early. It was pretty early. That's fair. Yeah.
We did the same.
It was
thing.
early, and I'll justify it by saying that we were all very cautious about how we went about it, and it was very successful from a public health standpoint. And we were really just starving for that interaction. It was there were so many hugs. We were very glad to see one another. But at the end of the day, Sonny's ATOG list took it down, and that is when we realized ATOG is insane in 808. Part of it is due to Mana Crypt. Part of it is due to Black Vice.
Yeah. True. Yeah, because Black Vice is just good versus
Black Vice is
Necro.
huge
Yeah.
in this format because people were drawing with Mystic Remoras, people are drawing with Necros. Like, there's just so many more people that, like, man, I've never played this format before. What do I want to do? I want to draw all the cards. And Black Vice just really puts the screws to those people every time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you can really knock the legs out from under them if you're, we are EC based, right? So we always play 4 strips. And in Tennessee, we love Gorilla Shaman, so we're good at keeping stuff stuck in hand.
Yeah, that's the grill in the room. I hope we talk about here in a little bit. Here, let me hop through a couple of things. We'll definitely come to Gorilla Shaman because that was something I didn't know. Now I love this list, and I was tempted to run this something similar.
Charles?
Now I do run this in ante, so I run a Yawgmoth's and Mono Green Bounty of the Hunt with Trikes. This is an anti deck that I really love.
Yeah, this is the deck that Charles put together, and me and him have played probably a dozen one-on-one game ones between this green deck and my Necro combo deck, and it is a true 50-50 matchup. I mean,
he's got a Forest of the Woods, got an Autumn Willow. He's got some crazy stuff in here too.
These worms are amazing.
The worm's good. I don't know the worm much. All right.
I think he opted not to go Force of Nature in his second build.
Probably.
I cannot recall though.
It's hard, man. If you want to dump all these other cards, it's so hard.
Yeah. But I mean, the basis of this deck is Mono Green Berserk with Yavimaya Ants for 5 power haste, right?
Yeah, and the Bounty of the Hunt to back it up when they try to do something cute is amazing. Yeah. So yeah, like my anti deck is very different. I don't have Berserks or whatever, but Bounty of the Hunt and Trike, very cool. I just actually this weekend we played for a little bit, and I doubled.
What does Bounty of the Hunt do? What is that one?
It's the green Force of Will, but it gives 3 +1/+1 counters only till end of turn though. So it's +3/+3, but they come out as counters, which for a Trike works out phenomenally. Obviously,
but
and I was actually just talking to somebody today about Unstable Mutation. And Bounty the Hunt too. That's a super cool interaction. Just extend the life on your guy while also pumping.
Oh, because the -1 counters have now gone away.
Yeah,
they've been counteracted. Yes,
but also
this weekend
Bounty
I
of the
played.
Hunt, Bounty of the Hunt. It's not just 3 counters on one dude. You can split them up however you like.
That is true.
And that's another really cool thing that you can do. Like if you've got like 2 3/3s on the board and someone's pointing a bolt at both of them, or like 2 bolts
or something. Yeah,
you can save them. Yeah.
Well, this weekend I was playing. I had a Trike out, and game was about over, and I cast a Bounty of the Hunt, and then I did one for free, made him a 9/9, attacked for 9, and shot for 9. So, or 8 or whatever was left there. But that was so cool, just knowing you have that in your back pocket. It looks like you're about to lose, and you're like, nah, I don't know where. Yeah, I was a big fan of it. I think it's like very cool. Got to be a pretty legitimate.
And it is. It functions kind of like a ramp deck because you see Nature's Lore, which tutors for a forest. You see Findhorn Elder, which who knows what Findhorn Elder does? It is vital because of the Yavimaya Ants cumulative upkeep cost. Findhorn Elder just like does it. But
just the man for the job.
But Primal Order, that enchantment from Homelands, some of the people that have run 95 events will or scryings. Yes, it's in scryings. Like you'll hear that Primal Order becomes kind of an all-star. It is a non-basic land hoser in green, and it continues on with the damage chipping.
Yeah, and it does what you want it to do, right? It's still pushing the ball forward. It's not stalling out the game. It's like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, are you gonna kill me before you're dead?
Yes. And like my deck, especially the Necro deck, like I was on all non-basics, and so I knew about that card, and that is why there are 4 disenchants across the 70 something.
Get 4 disenchants in your 85. Nice.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the 2 Tornadoes Tormund's Crypt? Because I know that the
Well.
Reanimator has been kind of buffed in this format. So I'm
All
just
right, well, I
curious.
got one of those too. So I went down with Ben Revel from Columbus. He and I drove down together, and yeah, he was talking about Reanimator, man. It's like so busted. I'll probably win this thing. He was very cocky. Did horrible on the day. Poor guy got like ran over. But you guys tell me about Reanimator. I know it's got all the tools and the.
Yeah, Josh, do you want to take this one because you've actually played it, and it has too many triggers for me to keep up with.
It's got a lot of triggers. Yeah, so I played this at one of our online A to A events. I actually sent you one of the lists. I think I got second with it. I went 7-1. Alan went 8-0 because Alan's a monster as per usual. But this deck was really fun. Obviously the reasons that this gets really exciting in this format is you get another reanimation in Dance of the Dead, which is huge. Going from 4 to 8 is amazing without having to lean on all of Thieves, because while that card is awesome when it goes off, A, it's hard to cast, and B, it takes time. And this is a really aggressive format, at least the way we play it. But we also get Krovikan Horror and Ashen Ghoul to really just help with card advantage with your Bazaars. You can really do a lot of good work, man. If you ever get the nice 3 Krovikan Horror hand, 2 Krovikan Horror hands, you can basically just be Bazaaring for free every turn, and you can.
Oh, because they come back to your hand, right? Then
at the end of any end step. So if you have multiple Bazaars, you can do it multiple times. Like I can Bazaar in my turn, get them back, Bazaar in your turn, get them back. Like you can really dig through this deck pretty quick. In this first build I was in on Brainstorm, I really like the idea of just being able to dig a lot deeper. But what I come to find throughout the day is that Limdol's Vault was actually the MVP. And what I also kind of think I've figured out is that Reanimator might be the best Limdol's Vault deck you can have, because most of the time you have a Limdol's Vault, you are stacking, you're casting at your opponent's end step to draw the one card you need to start going off. Whereas in this deck, I can cast Limdol's Vault, and once I get the 5 that I want, I can Bazaar into 2 of them immediately. I could also, in this deck, I could Brainstorm into the other 3 immediately, which is just absolutely insane when you're trying to set up these monstrous turns. I could not believe how easy it was to sculpt your hand, assuming you have the colored mana. That was the biggest problem the deck really experienced. It was one thing when people were strip mining Bazaars, that was slightly problematic. But when people started stripping my black mana, that's where I was really, really hurting. But yeah, and so Limdol's Vault, right? You get to look at the top 5 cards in your library. You either get to decide, yes, I want to keep this and put it back in any way you want, or you say, you know what, I want to look at another 5, and you pay a life to put these 5 on the bottom of your library, and then look at the next 5. And you can do this as many times as you want. And the nice thing too, this is not like put it in temporary exile, like you are immediately putting them on the bottom. You can actually start to go through your deck a second time with different sequences of 5 cards. Like you can just really dig in this deck to get the perfect hand, assuming you're not already at 3 life or whatever, right? But it was kind of unbelievable what this card could do, again, especially because I could Bazaar into 2 of those cards I wanted right away.
This would ruin a legacy tournament if it were.
This is the worst. This is the most degenerate card, I think, in the format right now.
I got to put this in ante more. $1.62, dude. I got to start Limdol's more in ante.
So I do want to talk about that a little bit, and to kind of close the book on Reanimator, those 2 Tormod's Crypts in my sideboard, I think were not enough. I did not face Reanimator. Like this format has so many archetypes. You need. Like, this is the beginning of vintage. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Casey's lagging out on us a little bit.
How about now?
You're good. You're caught up.
I got too excited.
You did.
So this being kind of the first approximation of vintage, it didn't really exist in history. So we've stumbled on something new, and we're treading some new water. But there are archetypes that you need to prepare for. You need to prepare for a lot of draw. So you need to have your Black Vices. You need to prepare for Reanimator it is so good. And so I think you need at minimum 3 Tormod's Crypt in your sideboard. You also need to prepare for white and green cards and cards that are enchantment and artifact based. And if you kind of catch the drift of what I'm hinting at, there are too many archetypes for you to build a 15 card sideboard, and you just have to make, like, this is why I talk about it in terms of vintage. Sometimes your sideboard just leaves off an answer to some certain deck, and you just hope you don't face it.
Got to make a concession somewhere. It's too many cards.
And that's what I like about it. It's that additional decision point that
it's deep.
I mean, this is the kind of, I know maybe not a lot of old school formats run into this, but this is where we really get into the matchup dependent side of things. But talking about Lindell's Vault and the price of it, there are so many good new things that are present in Ice Age Homelands and Alliances that do not cost a lot of money. Like, we are very open to proxy. You know, our tournament's going to be 100% proxy allowable. But at the end of the day, Alpha to Alliances doesn't really add a whole ton more in terms of cost. Yes,
not really.
You do have Reanimator being huge, and that, you know, kind of buffs up the necessity for bazaars, but
yeah, you don't have to play an expensive deck.
The Mana Crypt is really the only really expensive ad in the expansion, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to play 4 Force of Will. Like we've seen a lot of blue-based decks here, but the format is not cantrip heavy enough to where you can reliably like have a 4, like every deck be a 4 Force of Will deck. Like if you're on 4 Force of Wills, you're locked into a couple of different archetypes. So Force of Will, Mana Crypt, Necro, I guess, is kind of expensive now.
That's it though, right? I mean,
yeah.
The other expensive Ice Age cards you're not playing, like Illusions doesn't have the required pieces to be good, so you're not getting that. Lake of the Dead doesn't necessarily have a huge payoff to use. I mean, yes, it can get you a Necro, but that just, I haven't really seen that come to fruition yet. But I mean, what else in that block is expensive? I don't know that there really is anything else.
That's why we love it for the anti stuff too, because it opens so much up for not much cost. But yeah, I'll touch on this real quick. This was my deck, not knowing the format.
Oh, this is yours. Okay.
Yeah, this was mine. I had not really met face to face with our friend the Gorilla Shaman, so I based my deck on a 1-drop artifact, Candelabra, which was really a bad idea.
Well, and you came to the place that loves Gorilla Shaman like no other place.
Gorilla Shaman was everywhere, man. It just like would eat my moxes and then just eat my candles, and then it was like, oh yeah, that's the thing. So this was just me not knowing anything about it, and I've never played it before. So this is what I threw together. And I had a couple moments. I think I won a few games, but yeah, just trying to use Thawing Glaciers to pump out more mountains, use the Gauntlet of Might to make, there's endless X spells. So you've got, Disintegrate, Fireball, Lava Burst, Meteor Shower. I'm like, man, that's an option for, 20 X spells or whatever. Like, why wouldn't this be great? It really wasn't great because it just got eaten by the gorilla. But
it was one of the coolest decks in the room.
It was.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it had its moment. When it went off, it went hard. That was cool.
I think I'd also add that most of the Gorilla Shaman, like anytime I play with people A to A, like not Tennessee people, there is so many less Gorilla Shamans. We are just obsessed here. Like whenever we did the...
I keep adding them to my anti-decks. I think it's right.
I mean, because you're playing it. But I'm just saying, all these people that have never played the format before, they all want to go big and they all want to go greedy, and they're the ones that the Gorilla Shaman eats up. Like when we played, the only 2 events I played in that weren't organized by us, Cam Jam, and then there was one in the Neos group. Like everybody was on Big Blue, Big Necro, and like Gorilla Shaman just eats everybody alive. And I never got like counter shamaned. Only when we play in Tennessee do I get like out shamaned. So I don't think it was a crazy thing for you to assume, but it's super skewed in our meta.
We've and to talk about how our meta developed, you know, last year was a very combo heavy meta as we kind of looked at, but and I kind of consider Reanimator combo as well. But this past summer we got together at kind of a hangout weekend, and we had a quick little 808 event there, and that was not a combo heavy event. That was
very fair.
Straight up tempo, straight up fair aggro, and that is where burn and aggro really shine. And so Gorilla Shaman really it puts you in red, and so you not only have Bolt and Chain Lightning, you now have Incinerate also. And Stormbind is an all-star from Ice Age. I love Stormbind.
And
so
Jonathan's
there's a
card,
deck
man.
that's-
He's here to support Stormbind.
You love every deck that Alan has ever put together. If you've
Yeah.
looked at those lists, that's your guy.
So the
By the way,
decks
is this
kind
Alan
of build
Finney you're
themselves.
talking about? I
Yeah.
just want to say,
The
Alan
one
Finney,
and
just to
only.
give you a shout out from Charlie Peterson, my boy back on the West Coast. So, Alan, I'm going to be there. I'm going to wear this shirt. I'm not taking this shirt off until the event, by the way. So, just come see
The Evan
me.
Hand Dojo shirt. Well, yes.
It's going to have
Yeah.
gravy stains on it this time
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, it is. I can smell it. So yeah, sorry. Continue. Tell me about the. What's the turnout going to be? By the way, so you're talking about like the metas. I'm curious. What am I gonna be seeing? By the way, Steven and we're gonna be driving down together. I'm gonna get, from what you're talking about, I'm gonna get absolutely destroyed at this event, but I'm gonna have a fun time.
That's all that matters.
Well, I don't know. So
But tell me who's coming in. Yeah,
It's
what do we
only
got? What are we
like
seeing?
50-50, right? So we've got like 45-ish confirmed, and I think we're putting up about 20 of those numbers. So you can expect 20 Gorilla Shaman decks from us, and then maybe 5 Gorilla Shaman decks from the other 25 is probably what I would guess.
Yeah. But we've got people, I mean, it's kind of an assortment of all the friends we've made throughout the last few years. So there's a few people from Chicago. There's people that are coming down from, honestly, all over.
Like
Like
we've
there
got
are
2
people
from the West
flying in.
Coast.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in terms of meta, dude,
Guess what
I
I'm
couldn't even guess.
Who
Like
knows?
I've got 3 decks that I could conceivably play comfortably. One is the Necro combo deck. Another is a rug tempo list, kind of like what we're looking at here. And the other is something I won't necessarily spoil because that's actually what I've settled on. But it's not going to be a surprise to anyone. Like, I'm not going to come out with some hot new tech. Like, it's well-trod ground. Josh, you got to talk about this tempo deck because this was
your deck from last year. I'm sitting here marveling at the amazing altars. I
This-
have a
this
comment real
was-
quick. You guys, a lot of the crew ran these proxies, and they were cool as hell, man. I don't know
I love that.
who does those, or I think you even gave away a set of those proxies as prizes, but they
We
were really
did.
cool.
We did. I'll probably actually have a set of duels to give out at this event at some point too. So
Nice. So yeah, carry on. This was yours from last year. I just pulled it up. This is the last one I have to share, and then I'll get into the stuff you guys sent. But
yeah, man, this is like the worst iteration that this deck has ever had. So this I think I went like 5 with 4 and 2 on this one. But this General Shell, I just call it Rug Delver because it's like that was like a legacy deck that this is very similar to. Right, I've got great mana and resource denial in the 4 strips, the 4 shaman. I've got cheap counter magic in memory lapse and arcane denial, and then I've just got cheap efficient beaters, right? You know, your Curd Apes, Atog, and your Dibs. And I've got I think this build has 2 onks in it still. So I have
2 onks, yeah.
I have quite a bit of food for the Atog. I've got 2 onks, 4 vices, an orb, all the mocks in the soul ring. There's quite a bit to throw at him.
Did you cut green in this? I mean, it feels like you're working hard to get those Curd Apes bigger.
Yeah, so I mean, regrowth is huge. This is really big. Most of the kills with this deck honestly have come with draw sevens into Black Vice. Like I've just been casually through the game. We're getting Black Vice number 2 out, Black Vice number 3 out. We're getting chip damage in. We're getting good solid counter spells out there. And then it's going to culminate in a draw 7 killing you as what this happens the most. And Cayce got the best of that exchange at our last event. So I went 3-1 at the most recent event with a little bit of a tweaked version of this. I beat everybody but Cayce, both times, and it was actually 2 games. Both times I wheeled into a Vice kill, and it was like, all right, well, I know Casey's got 8 or 10 bolts or whatever, but I have 5 counter spells and I have my own bolts. Who's going to win? So like I got him dead on the stack both times, but he won the exchange every time. And then I think the Stormbind is actually what really did me in that second game out of the board. And I tried to blue blast it twice, but he got me.
Yeah.
But the regrowth is huge for getting the draw 7s back. It's been instrumental. And this was the least green version of that deck too. I'll have more green in it this coming event, and I had more green in it in previous events too.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Is your basalt monolith acting more like a weak stone? Worried that your sorceress queen is going to leave you for a veteran bodyguard? Well, worry no further. Standing Stone's erectile dysfunction treatment is the only pill endorsed by the healers of Samite and backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So turn that neveling imp into a berserk spitting slug with Standing Stones.
Standing Stones is only available in the dark. Consult a physician for a spitting slug lasting longer than 2 turns.
All right, let me ask you about a card here. I'm curious. I got a couple I'd like to get your input on. So I love diminishing returns in a deck like this. I run 4 Vice.
I know I want it to be so good, but the fact that it gives them the option of how many cards to draw is what kills it for me, man. If this was
it does, but I draw 7, they draw 4. I'm like, you guys suck.
So I actually
drew 3 extra lightning bolts. I don't know. I don't see it played anywhere, so I assume it's bad. But I've run the hell out of this.
I've put one in several times, and it's always hit the chopping block before the event for me. And double blue is hard for me because I'm playing a very small mana base. Like everything in that deck is cheap. This would be the most expensive card in the deck for me, and this would be the only double casting cost spell in the entire deck too. So that was just too much of a stretch.
But I mean, if you're paying green 1 for regrowth and 3 to cast a wheel, this is actually cheaper if you cut into 2 colors. Just saying.
So yeah, but I need to get another good creature in there. So in this deck, it was Curd Apes. In other decks, it's been Script Sprites or Argothian Pixies have been where I've gotten my chip damage in. And also because I'm not on white, which I've debated being on white, like I need access to some sort of disenchant of the board. So I have Tranquility out of green. But like Tranquility is huge against Reanimator, hitting all of the reanimate things. It clears up Necro, it clears up taxes and Stormbinds. Like it clears up a lot of problematic cards that without green or white, I just couldn't deal with them. I have to beat them on the stack. And with only 5 counters, that's tough, right? Like I've really got to prioritize when I cast those at that point.
So I've actually played Diminishing Returns. It was our first, I think, real 8-away event, the one at Tennessee Brew Works. And I was on a list that was Black Vice up front, draw 7s. I think I was on 1 or 2 Diminishing Returns. I can't remember my creatures. I know I was on 4 Gorilla Shaman, but there were 8 other creatures there. But it just stunk. I got like second to last place. It was not a good day for me.
Well, anytime you give your opponent the option, it does tend to not work out. Sorry.
Right. So Diminishing Return was just trash.
I want it to be good. I want
it. But what I will say is,
you haven't convinced him to stop playing it further.
What was that?
I said you haven't convinced Brian to stop playing it. Sorry.
Hey, if you're on Dreams, Diminishing Return gets a lot sweeter. But we're not on Dreams. I don't know what
I'm on Ante and it costs under $1, so that is my time twister. So
no, it's pretty good. Going one step further though, we didn't want part of how Alpha Alliances came about was that the Eternal Central website had EC95 and it had EC96. 96 added alliances, but it also added Mirage. And that was what essentially made up the first vintage that actually existed. So there was a deck that operated off of lots of bolts, black vices, and draw sevens with multiple mystical tutors to go find the draw sevens. Yeah. That
mystical
was
tutors insane.
It was too powerful, and we didn't want to change the game that much, so that's why we opted to hack Mirage off. But in any 96 event, I do think that mystical tutors should absolutely be restricted. It's far too good.
100%.
So I could probably answer the question for this one. Anarchy, I put it in my sideboard. I thought it was cool, but no one plays white permanents. I mean, very rare. They're all, and if they do, they're one drops, right?
But your opponents aren't playing the cards you want to kill is the problem.
Yeah, they're all on swords. Disenchants the white, or occasionally. I mean, look, you did send one mono white deck here, but I mean, this is probably not a strong sideboard.
Wouldn't that have been insane, Casey, if Jaco had Anarchy in his dreams board for that finals match against the mono?
Who was he playing against in the finals?
I don't know. I was low on the tables because that's the year I took the Richard Garfield versus John Finkel duel deck as my deck list. So I had no idea what was happening up at the top.
That was fun.
That was really fun.
Yeah,
Anarchy would shit on this list. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, this is the only one. Yes, you guys sent me some stuff. We can flip through those too.
This is the white deck that I sent you.
Yeah, I didn't know. You mentioned a white deck in the final. I didn't know if this was it or not. But it's the
white weenie deck gets pretty insane because adding Zuranord is insane because of balance
and for tax.
Yeah, and then tax too.
Yeah.
Yes. So there are a lot of permanents, like enchantment and artifact based permanents.
That's Armageddon.
That's Armageddon. I'm looking at. Okay.
I wonder where this went.
This picture looks like it was taken in '96.
I think he has a phone from '96, so that's
okay. You got like
this is probably a Nokia deck list.
Nokia flip phone. Snap.
No, it wasn't even the flip phone yet. It was the one piece.
Oh yeah.
Is that the Outpost? Kildren Outpost over there?
Kildren
Outpost. Let's talk about the Outpost strat here for a little bit because that's a powerful card in this form.
I mean, it's really cool in a land tax deck, right? Because you can also tempo down a land on this as you're going. I mean, it's obviously a very powerful effect. It's very good in the control deck, although we've never had a control deck show up to one of our events. I did play against one in the finals of Cam Jam that played this, but ultimately I think what I've kind of just determined is that like 8A is too fast for Kildren Outpost for in my experience anyways. It's a very aggressive format, and then there's a lot of more evasive creatures. There's a lot of flying decks, and then there's a lot of double Black Knight, Pump Knight decks, right? And the Outpost isn't going to get anything done, unfortunately, in that matchup either.
Right.
It's such a cool card. It's so nostalgic. Like that was actually the first thing I thought of when we started talking A to A. But then ultimately I decided the only thing I really felt good about playing this in was a control deck, and I don't want to play a control deck. Even with Force of Will being added, it's just not enough. I don't think.
It's a long day to play a full control deck with just winning with something like that. I mean,
yeah.
And that mindset.
Does the deck get a lot of tools out of A2A anyway? Like it gets.
I mean, so you could say that it gets Portent, Force of Will, Kildren Outpost. If you're in black anyways for Abyss, which most people are, you get access to Limdol's Vault. That's probably the most compelling one. Limdol's Vault and Force. I don't know that Kildren Outpost is good enough. I think that deck is just better off playing like the Hive if you want to do like the 1/1 I'll get you eventually plan, because you can also protect your Hive or whatever with counter magic. You can't really protect your land with counter magic, right? In the 4-strip environment, it's just a more vulnerable piece, unfortunately. And then you get Merchant Scroll. Merchant Scroll is big because you can dig up a Force of Will, you can dig up an Ancestral, you can get a lot with a Merchant Scroll in the deck. So that's probably big game. But I don't feel like it got enough.
what I feel sometimes is like there's a ton of new archetypes and a ton of really boosted archetypes in Alpha Alliances, but there are also some archetypes that get like 2 cards and that's it. Like Geddon gets Zuranorb, and that's about it. Like that deck doesn't improve much beyond adding Zuranorb.
No, I think you have to like just fundamentally change that deck to have that strategy win. You got to be like a hops deck. But yeah, like it's not good enough just to play traditional Geddon in this.
That said, we could walk into 2 weeks from now, walk into the room and be in a like super control-y, grindy, prison-y meta.
We could. And actually, I guess if you're in Geddon, you probably want to do red, right? Because you want to be on Gorilla Shaman really bad in that kind of deck.
I've been
talking going to be there.
I've been talking with Byron about that, and I think green, white, red is the way to go for Geddon.
Yeah, probably.
Did get 1 extra tool. Well, the Yavama, Heart of Yavama, right?
I can't remember.
Heart of Yavamaya. It's in that same
forest,
cycle. It's in that same
right?
cycle of lands as Keldern Outpost and Lake of the Dead and all that. And it gives +1/+1 to a target creature, which I
really looking at it
like.
right now.
And you got to sack your forest, so maybe that could be your,
your tax.
And plus, with all those Balduvian hordes running around, you kind of want your
the new Juza.
Man,
the new Juza.
I also wanted that to work out really well too.
How many
I never
hordes am I
played
going to
it.
be seeing coming at me?
Jeremy Snyder was playing Bold. He went on the 4X Balduvian Horde deck at the Giga Ball, and like he's like, dude, I'm glad I did it, but I will never. This again.
Some cards you really want to be good, and that is one of them.
Just doesn't.
And it just does not do what you want it to do.
Well, I've got a red black reanimator and anti that uses those and Shivens and a couple things, and it's kind of cool.
It is cool.
It requires a little luck, which that's my kind of deck. I don't really want one to consistently win. I just like to occasionally win. Makes winning more fun.
Reanimator Reanimator with Balduvian Hordes. I really like that.
Yeah, it's not bad because they're all like castable things, but occasionally you also, chuck a Shiv into the bin and regrow it, or a trike or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, that's a brew I have.
Or Dance of the Dead.
Dance of the Dead, yeah.
Make it a 6/6, baby.
Let's talk real quick, just since he's been they're sponsoring the podcast tonight. Is
Gorilla Shaman. Yes, that's the card we've been wanting to talk about all day. Gorilla.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just get that out of the way. Let's have a quick discussion so everyone listening understands why it's so important. I mean, to me that blew my mind when I showed up there, and I actually had not ever paid attention since this card was out in like '95, and I'm like, you telling me everybody plays a 1-drop 1/1? And then it destroys all your moxes for 1 mana? Like, yeah, oh yeah.
We do. So I didn't play like real Magic. I was playing in a driveway with portal cards, right? When this card was a big deal. So I'd only really heard the tale of the Mox Monkey. I never really got it. And I actually sleeved it up for the first time in my Reanimator deck in the sideboard as a 4 specifically to kill Tormod's Crypts and like make them play it, use it when like you can't sit on it, right? Like I can force the action. And then what I just ended up finding out is over the course of that event, I boarded all 4 in all matches but 1. So 7 out of my 8 matches, I brought in all 4. And multiple matches, I reanimated a Gorilla Shaman instead of a Trike. And that's when I was like, okay, this card is obviously... And it got like Force of Will so many times. Like I just couldn't believe it. And ever since then, I've never looked back. But it really just didn't click into my head how disruptive that card truly is. And especially since people don't play in this format very often. Again, the inclination is to go big, go fancy, go greedy, do the thing you couldn't do in 93, 94. And it just preys on those strategies, man. It just takes the legs out from under you and always makes Black Vice that much better, which I'm a huge fan of.
And another thing, I think you're kind of right about discounting it, Brian, about it's a 1/1 for 1. What does it do? it does something and it costs XX1, and then your brain shuts off and you don't read the rest of it. But I mean, killing Moxon for 1, killing Black Vices for 3, Ivory Towers. It's
Azurin Orbs, so many things.
And it's also the turn you play it. And that's the broken part.
Honestly. It's got haste, baby. It's
haste.
great.
You just don't have any way of dealing with it. And you can do it all. Like, I swear I had him like drop and burn like 2 Mox in the Soul Ring or something the same turn. I'm like, oh, what the hell? Who made this? Is this not a new standard card?
Is he poly? Can you do this ability more than once in a?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
My God! What? Oh.
Yeah. So you mistakenly.
I thought I had to tap this guy.
No.
Oh snap!
Yeah. So you mistakenly drop Lotus and 2 boxes out there, and then they're just like, Shaman, spend 3, blow your entire field up, and you're like, what? Yeah.
So as a side note, the biggest thing I've killed with a Gorilla Shaman so far is I've gotten an Icy.
That's 9, right?
I've also killed an Icy with it.
So talk about Shaman mid and late game. What do? You still throw him out, and as you drop it, is that kind of the play with him? Like, no one's ever attacking with their Gorilla Shaman.
I mean, he's good for damage. He'll
almost always attack.
But
that's right.
As a side note, I've gotten more and more prone to hold them for turns where I know they're going to matter. Unless I'm really trying to pressure a life total early, I've really, I don't do turn 1 Gorilla Shamans anymore. They're normally like a turn 3 or turn 4 play, and I can get a guaranteed 2 for 1 that they probably still got to kill because they have other relevant cards that it's strapping in their hand. That's kind of been how I've been playing it more of lately.
Yeah, it makes sense. So it is like the new meta. It's like instead of bolt the bird, it's like bolt the monkey.
I mean,
but it's too late in response. They're still blowing your shit up, man.
You're right. It's too late. If you see,
there's no stopping it.
The Gorilla Shaman, it's too late.
Honestly, and that's what was appealing to me about the green deck is it ran no Moxon. It's all elves and stuff. Like your shaman's now worthless.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Now the other thing is,
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna get destroyed. Sorry, go ahead.
It only does go after non-creature artifacts, so it's not going to kill factories.
Imagine if it could kill a factory. Oh my god.
Oh, dude, we would have to restrict it.
Yeah.
So in the run-up to this event, I updated our website's formats page. Our website being musiccityos.com, and I recognize that we did previously have a watch list down here for a couple of cards, one of which was Gorilla Shaman. The other was Fast Bond, but we're a pretty laissez-faire group when it comes to trying things out. So go wild. The only thing that really needs to be restricted in this event is, or in this this format, the only things that need to be restricted are already restricted in 95, and that's Demonic Consultation, which we learned our lesson about.
Yeah, that was not restricted in our first OS 95 event, by the way.
Yeah.
So I definitely sleeved up 4.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And Mana Crypt, which we knew what we were getting into there. We kept it restricted.
Honestly,
you gotta play once.
Up until this week, I just assumed Merchant Scroll was restricted. I didn't realize it wasn't, looking at some of those deck lists.
No. It's a 4 of. But again, there are so many good cards that you run into the problem of, how many can I reasonably add? Yeah. And I think Alan was on greater than 61 cards. I was on 62. It's insane.
Well, let me just throw this idea. Instead of ever banning, why don't you go to a 70 card deck next time?
I mean,
you want to mix things up. Don't change the card. Just make them play more.
Make it harder.
Make it harder to find your combo pieces.
I want to plug the website again because it was at musiccityos.com, right? Because that was the main source for me. I didn't know Alpha and Alliances, the format, and I'm a weird thing. I didn't play Ice Age and those. I only know the old school. So this was my source to come to for learning this format, learning the new like archetypes. Oh, and I see right there serrated arrows. We haven't even touched on that, man.
Yeah,
Serrated arrows. Does that even come
Energy
into
Storm.
play?
These are amazing cards.
Yeah.
Those were very
Cajun.
classic cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pyroblast.
One thing that's apparent is I'm really glad that this website has become a resource for you and other people.
Yeah.
Because all we've had to go on are digging up old vintage lists from the dojo and then looking at the standard decks that came out of the first standard with like 4th edition Ice Age block and like Chronicles. And that's where the cards like Serrated Arrows were really playable. And in part because there were rules back then that said you had to play a minimum number of cards from every expansion that's legal. And so people were all like, I gotta play something from Homelands. This is pretty good.
Well, there was also a lot of white and black decks that couldn't deal with the opposing pump knights. Like we've evolved much past that meta, but I mean, it really was a very powerful card too back then.
Right.
Serrated Arrows is strong in Alpha Alliance's ante.
Got that.
Yeah, it is still
a lot of
very,
pump knights
very
and stuff like that. That's a good card. Doesn't cost that much.
And it would be very difficult to shaman it.
Yeah, man. That's well, and the shamans. You got to do it on the turn you drop them, or else the arrows is going to kill them. So you've got to have that 10. You got to be at that sweet 10 spot.
And you call it right here, black border on a budget. This is also part of the beauty of the Alpha Alliance's ante, is we get to play like the ices, the swords, all that stuff's very affordable. So if you lose it, not that big a deal. You know, you can move on with your life.
And also that was before we were so deep into proxying. So whatever. Oh yeah,
no, proxy's an ante though, man.
That's true. And if you scroll down there a little farther down towards the bottom, I think I talk about some potential watch list in the format notes. That little bulleted list above the ferrets there. It's not technically a watch list, but I think
Zern Orb is powerful as hell. I agree.
But Gorilla Shaman is, if I were to write this over again, I would be picking a different list of cards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think I would put Reanimator as a note on this list or Fast Bond.
No,
you could argue that Necro should be on here, but I like it being a pillar of the format personally.
And that was one of the things where I think another club did their own version of 808, and they wound up restricting a couple of cards, one of which was Necro, and that made me so sad because
and Force of Will and Strip Mine. That was a very different format.
Yeah, it's an incredibly different format with those cards restricted. But Necropotence was the one that pierced my heart because that is a card that needs to be a 4 of. Like, people need to fear the skull, right?
Bring back the old fears, the shamans and the necros, man. The old feels.
We found our second 808 event. Alan once more brewed up a really sick list that was mainly mono black with Necro, and additionally ran Shaman and a couple of burn spells, and that was a gnarly deck.
Yeah. Well, here's Jaco's Necro deck. This thing's amazing.
Second place. Yep.
Absolutely beautiful.
This was a beautiful deck. He actually ran this non-8 version at
doing bathroom break while you guys talk about this, and I'll be right back.
I see. You got kind of a Winds of Change, Underworld Dreams thing here.
Yep, it's your typical Underworld Dreams deck, but he's powering it up with Necro and Consult. Those are the huge ones.
What else has he got?
Since he's on Necro, he's also on like a mirror universe for that type of thing, and for Ivory Tower, which combos well with the Necro.
Right. It lets you power, keep drawing more and keep drawing more, right?
Yeah.
And part of the cool thing here is if someone, like, if you're playing against Dreams, right? Or you're playing against like a Howling Mine and you play Necro, you're immune to Dreams because you're not drawing a card with Necro. You are exiling it and taking it into your hand.
Well, you're not entirely, but
I noticed that wording of it, right, where you avoid that damage. You're skipping your draw phase, so it's kind of like etched out for you. So do you think in this round, do you think people are still going to go for the Necro? I mean,
Yes.
we were talking about our meta. Now, for me personally, I found A2A as a new opportunity to make more terrible decks. That's kind of my like take on it. Like, oh, great, more opportunities to make more stupid, you know?
Well, that's that. Don't be so hard on yourself, because I see it as a much wider field in which to express your creativity and to brew the archetypes that you like. And I'm not being glib about this. I'm being legitimate. Like this, it is truly the Wild West.
Now I can really have I can maybe tie it a little bit back into Stormbind. Like now with Stormbind allows me to truly have the dumb deck that I've always wanted. I love that with the Stormbind, it's kind of like a slightly better Lands Edge. You know, Lands Edge kind of limits you to lands. Still, I think the same technique. You're gonna hoard your lands, but now it's like, oh, I can sack anything that I have for that extra 2. And I've noticed too in this format, there's a lot of like sorcery avoidance damage. What's that land that you block sorcery instant creature damage? You can just
Glacial Chasm.
Yeah, that right. So you can kind of but so your loophole is like artifact and enchantment damage. So that's kind of, you were saying the meta is like a little bit heavy on artifact and enchantment, because that's it kind of allows you to sneak in a little, be more creative with your enchantments and artifact, which is why the Mox Monkey is so powerful in this format. So it's like many like good cards to play, but like I went the other way. I went more dumb, and I'm loving it.
You're playing Gorilla Pack.
Opportunity. I do have I'm thinking about the Mox Monkey. I think I've got about 2 or 3. But now you're telling me I need 6, so I'm gonna get an extra 2.
Just try to win some anti-games real quick. Maybe you'll grab a shaman and sleeve it up.
I will say I have lost track of how many of some of these cards that I own. Like I maybe own 12 Ice Age Incinerates. I couldn't count the number of disenchants I own. I probably have 16 Mox Monkeys. I have a problem.
The Funky Monkey. Was there another? What was this? So I like Stormbind. What about Burnout? I've noticed that there's a lot of our Pyroblast replacing the REBs and Blue Elemental Blast, Red Elemental Blasts. Does that come into play? All those extra draw cards that because there's so many discard cards.
That's one of the things that is new for Ice Age and Alliances is the cantrip cards, or as they're called, the slow trips, because they're a card. If you don't know what they are, they draw you a card on the next turn's upkeep. So a lot of cards like what you mentioned was Burnout, which is 1 and a red, and its text says counter target instant spell if it is blue. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. I've not played that because you have Pyroblast and you have Red Blast. Now,
but they're not drawing you a card.
They are not drawing you a card. They also
now you're limited to just instants, though, right? So it's assuming.
And this one you are limited to just instants. So in I will say a less spiky format, I think Burnout has a place. But when decks are competing for slots in the way that they are now at sort of a high level super spike kind of expression, I don't think Burnout makes any cuts. But Josh, what are some other slow trip cards that you can think of? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Portent, Arcane Denial, Urza's Bauble.
Yeah.
Right. There's got to be more than that. Well, those are at least the playable ones. I don't know what else.
Astrolabe.
Yeah,
you know what Astrolabe does?
It's a mana fixer, right?
3 mana artifact. Pay 1, tap it, and sacrifice it. Add 2 mana of any one color to your mana pool, and then you draw a card.
I've got Astrolabe here. That's not the same thing?
No.
Big fan. That's a 4 of every time,
Put that away.
6 of if you're lucky.
Yeah.
2 mana of any color.
It is a really interesting card that I've wanted to find.
That is a little lube right before shit goes down. That's an interesting name for that too. They could have called it Spit on It, please. But I mean, so either one, that's fine.
That's how you do it.
10 cents. And this the anti-pool.
Josh, I just found a daze for you. It's called Force Void.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, you'll hate it.
I'm sure I will.
So it's daze and it cantrips, but it costs 3.
Costs 3. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with Arcane Denial. I'm totally fine. That's it.
So, one thing that I've never had a discussion with you about, Josh, is, and we are kind of neglecting Homelands here. Homelands has some good stuff in it.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that you use is memory lapse. Tell us about memory lapse. I'm sorry, I'm hosting the show now, if you can't tell.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no.
Jump in, please.
So I was really torn between Memory Lapse and Arcane Denial at the beginning, and then as I was on the Black Vice strategy, it became very clear that Arcane Denial was where I wanted to be. But every other event up until probably this coming event, I've had at least one Memory Lapse in the deck. It was a 2 of a lot of times for me. It was a really fun play, and there was some really like audible groans. Like Arcane Denial is very efficient and does a good job, but man, nobody gets hurt about an Arcane Denial. Everybody gets hurt about a Memory Lapse. Like if you can set up a turn, man, where they tap out for like a mirror and you lapse it, and then on your turn you time walk and you just have like the absolute freedom to devastate somebody's life. Memory Lapse is just an absolute beating.
Yeah, but I mean, don't you just know that the bad thing's coming back?
I mean, you do, but they also don't get to draw any worse things. Like, that's also the thing, too. You don't even have to counter anything good. If you know they have, like, if they're hellbent and they cast a dog shit spell, just make
that's
it.
That's the plus. I see that.
It's kind of like a weird time walk at times. It's pretty versatile. But what I've found for this deck, a lot of the times, I really didn't necessarily need to make sure this thing never happened. I'm always one turn. I just need to be one more turn ahead of you. And it's not wonderful when it's a cheap spell, but if they're casting a 4-drop or higher and earn them a Jam Day Tome or something, it's pretty brutal to have them sink their whole turn into this, and have them draw it again.
Do we know if anyone on the planet has ever actually gotten these tattoos in their head? Because that's pretty badass. If you just like had those lines, those symbols tattooed on your head when you're bald.
I really like too that he took the modular approach, so he can take off the pieces of the tattoo that he doesn't like and swap them out for different events.
Whoa, crash my computer on that. That is pretty awesome.
Jaco's coming down. We'll take him to an ink shop up on Gallatin or something.
This card doesn't have the tinted shades. It's because they're actually in his pocket. But yeah.
Josh, we got to get an altar together.
Yeah, the Jaco lapse.
Lapse.
I've got another card here I want to highlight, and it's called Infuse.
I don't know that I know that one.
Oh, well, why you don't know it is it's that first one there is because we have restricted Time Vault.
We did.
And that is good because this card with
Time Vault is amazing. Yeah. He's frozen, but yeah, I can fill in for him. You get to draw a card.
He just got twiddled in real life. His connection.
Look at this card art there. What's going on here with those?
It's like
hands?
the reverse of this is Ghost. This is a screenshot from the movie Ghost. Right?
It's like, ooh, yeah. I mean, I get the 2 pairs, but where's that third one coming from? Oh,
no, there's 2 full pairs.
There's 2 pairs. Yeah, one's on the shoulder. And one, okay.
Yeah.
That dude in the picture is saying, "Bro, I am feeling so infused right now."
Is that a dude or a woman? I can't tell.
Yeah, you know.
Wrong time to ask.
Non-binary.
Yeah, non-binary. Okay,
unclear. Complicated question.
Those are non-binary hands. There's a lot going on there. Yeah.
But also, if you're infusing your Time Vault, you can be whoever you want to be.
True that.
Yes, absolutely. I don't care who you are. You infuse the Time Vault, you're badass.
Yeah, there are some cards in 808 that they will allow an even more degenerate presence if some things are unrestricted.
So you
Counter
get
to that,
you get one-time vault, you get infused, you get Linval's vault to go find it.
Yeah.
You get some
Force of Wills to protect it.
Demonic
Force of Wills to
concentration.
protect it. And Twiddle. Boy, I feel like there's something here.
Well, Portent digs pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm so pumped about this. This is such a cool card.
Jester's Cap is my jam. So we ran
That is Brian, by the way.
That is me. Yes, I've been told that. And I have a last place trophy, Jester's Cap, that someone spilled a beer on at a bar. It's one of my prized possessions.
Hell yeah.
But so I ran this at the we ran a mono green event that was Alpha to Alliances, but you had to play mono green. And I ran this and then like kept regrowing it with what is it? Prime Order or something like that, or whatever.
No, that's not it.
But yeah, I mean,
it's Forgotten Lore. Is that it?
Forgotten Lore. Yeah, that's it. There you go. Yeah. So I would just like keep cracking the sucker, and you just strip their key pieces. You're on Necro, just taking your Necro. Like I don't see a lot of this card played. Has it proven itself to not be good? Or
I don't know that anybody's actually sleeved one up at our events, but like I actually spent a good deal of time thinking about a one of in my sideboard for this event because, as Cayce was talking, we've had a pretty big resurgence of combo, and there's a lot of like I only have 1 or 2 mirrors that I'm hoping to kill you with. Like I only have 4 basalt monoliths. Like you only have to deal with 1 if you can cap away the rest. I have strongly considered sleeving one of these guys up. Plus, it's also just like super nostalgic. This is like the card for me.
Oh man.
I started playing in Ice Age and like, I bought like a scry, right? And like I would look up the prices of these cards and I'd be like, wow.
Hey man, I'm with you.
Cap is $18. I'll never own one of these. Like it was like this unattainable card. So it's like so iconic to me. So I've very strongly considered sleeping them up, but I've never had
looking through a lot of these decks, and there are a lot of things that just, you take Reanimator and just like get rid of their bazaars, or and the Underworld Dreams deck, you just take their dreams away.
I mean, the more combo you get, I suppose, the more insane this gets, especially when the combos are really relying on restricted cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was considering 2 in the sideboard because of those combos, right? Because it gives you 3, so you need 2 to get rid of your full combo if someone's playing 4-0. But I might throw 1 in right now. You're convincing me.
It sounds sweet, dude. Because
in a sense, you need another meta, but you get to look through their freaking deck and then decide. You're just like, that would wreck me. Yeah, let me get rid of that. I did love it because we had some freaking combo players, and I just took the win conditions out of their deck, and they're like, "I got a bunch of fogs." I'm like, yeah, whatever. We're just sitting here all day. You got no way to win now, right? Yep, it's gone. So I don't know.
I've also really wanted to play a Jester's Mask because, like, while Cap was the unattainable one, Mask was the one that like somebody in my cul-de-sac owned, right? So it was like an attainable card because the card pool was the cul-de-sac, right? Like these are the people that I played with. But the fact that it comes into play tapped is pretty rough. If it didn't have that clause, I think I'd be okay with the like 5 to play, 1 to activate. I would really love to use this thing. It's so cool. But I hate anything that comes into play tapped in every
5
format.
mana for the mask?
Can't. What's that?
Is it 5 mana for the mask?
It's 5 to cast and 1 to activate.
The player a new card. So 5, and then activate it. Give that player a new hand of as many cards as he or she had before. This is so badass.
It's very cool.
It's so good, man. Come on, someone has to jam this thing with copy artifact.
Here's the other thing, though. I mean, if you're brave enough to run this and cast it, you are forcing the opponent to shatter or disenchant this thing because you do not want it to go off.
No. I guess this might be good in a song deck, honestly. It's a 5-drop with a sweet ability.
Yeah. So that's something that I wanted to get into is we do not our meta is like a certain way, but none of us really own shops. And so we just don't see any shops happen. And there's probably a shops deck that can lean harder into Alpha Alliance's cards, aside from just like Trikes and Tetravus and whatnot. And oh, look, there it is.
The winner of our big BLB. This was before shops like really hit the map, I felt like.
Yeah. What year was this? That was 18?
2019, it says on here.
2019.
Okay.
18, Jaco won 18 with Dreams. That was our 22-player, 26-player event. This one was our, I think we capped it at 64, right?
So how would we change a shops deck to fit Alpha Alliances?
Well, first I would play Ice Age Ices. Big upgrade.
Absolutely, yes.
Ice Age Disenchants, Ice Age Swords.
Yes. Okay.
Huge games.
I think you main deck serrated arrows, to be honest.
Yeah, that's probably
See, to me, this is a diminishing returns deck because you're drawing 7, they're probably drawing 4 off. You know, you could throw in some Black Vices for the early game, and then I don't know. I have a set of shops, but I can never bring them for bad. I never use shops for evil, so they rarely get used.
So this would be a good deck if Phyrexian Warbeast worked like I thought it worked. This would be a good deck for that deck. So for years, I just assumed Phyrexian. Pull up the picture of Phyrexian Warbeast. I just assumed the Phyrexian Warbeast flew. So I thought it was a colorless dib. I was like, this is insane. And it's got this ability when, in my head, this was just all in my head, when you play him, you sack a land. I was like, this is great in your tax deck. This is great in your shops deck. It's cheap. It flies. It's a 3/4. It doesn't have the down. Like, this card is unbelievable. I told, like, several people how insane Phyrexian Warbeast was. And then somebody's like, well, dipshit, it's when he dies that you lose the land and it doesn't fly. And I was like, but he's in the air, bro.
No, you see those at the very bottom. It's got a propeller, but you see the things at the very bottom? Those are feet.
I know, dude, but so like I just had the mental image in my head, like from yesteryear, from when I started playing. But I thought I was so pumped to sleeve this card up.
So I don't know if they're talking about this in the pod or not.
Would be good in shops, right?
Yeah, I would play it in shops.
I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast or not, but I have been brewing for quite a while with no success what we call the playground rules. And so I want to do at least one event, and it's all going to be based on the art. So if you see a card and it says it's got some freaking wings on that thing flies, right? Evil Eye, Worms Begorm, you can look at your opponent's hand. It's all this shit that you did on the playground, and all you got to do is just like petition whenever you play it.
Just
be like
the picture.
Yeah,
like
by the
somebody
picture.
has protection from red. Like, look, it's in the fire. It's running around.
It's clearly not taking damage. Yeah.
Kurt Ape has forest block. He's going through a forest.
Yeah.
So I really want to do like one event like this.
But
this is a perfect candidate. This sucker flies for sure.
Sounds like a great place for me to flex my bullshitting skills. And Casey knows I'm all about.
Absolutely, yes.
I'd be at the bottom.
We have a special draft for that too.
You want to talk about that real quick, Steve?
Oh fuck!
Oh, that was so good. Real quick, yeah. We had a thing this weekend. I'll let me pull up some visuals while you talk.
So Brian ordered this box off of, I guess, eBay, and it was like all these super random boosters from way back in the day. We had Madonna trading cards, Desert Storm, Alien. Like so much just random shit, and that was
the metal band challenge. Remember we had we drew the metal.
So that's kind of what it was. Just a huge box of random boosters.
Yeah, every booster is a different one. So it was like 50. It was like maybe 50 different random non-magic or non-sports boosters for $25.
Yeah,
and so we did a draft with those, and then you had to make a story. And holy shit, they were good, right? Well, what was yours, man? I'm trying to remember what.
Oh, mine was related to that day. It was like a shitty day at work, led to a vacation, and led to Cthulhu and a bunch of babes, and like it was fucking weird. But it's just how good can you bullshit off of the random stuff? It worked out so well.
Yeah, somehow, I had a whole like hostile theme of like this dude that discovered a magazine, went to France and found all these freaking babes, and then all these terrified people came out and stuff. But there's a lot of weird ass like games and weird shit. I don't know. You gotta see these. This is so good. I'm actually gonna sleeve them up and make a cube of just these old like Days of Our Lives and All My Children cards and stuff. The one dude is like, he populated the planet and had a spaceship full of his children, and he's like, and then I told all my children. He pulled that card. I'm like, damn, dude, that's so spot on. So yeah, we had the typical like Desert Storm and some of those things, but oh my god, that's a really like I feel like it's a real game we need to be playing sometime. There's some Marilyn Monroe cards. I don't know. I can't figure out how to turn the filter off in my background. I'll show you guys more.
I'll go to like the record store or whatever, and they have like just a box of random collectible cards up on the counter, and I'm just amazed at how many things in life have these cards. So that's a really cool idea. Now you mentioned
we got battle cards, we got Hunger Games, we got Decision 92. We got
wait. Decision 92.
Decision 92, the election. Yeah, the election of 1992 had its card game based around it.
I'm pretty sure that Decision 24 is going to be like an unglued set, right?
Yeah.
I think the cards that would get us canceled right now is Spoofy Tunes.
There was one that was just way over the freaking top. There's Angry Birds, Anastasia, Power Rangers.
So I do want to
Flintstones.
I do want to spoil one of our prizes for the events.
Spoiler! If you've made it this long in the podcast, you've earned the spoiler, people.
This I put together this weekend. A couple years ago, when we were in peak silliness, we somehow acquired multiple boxes of the Pro Set Desert Storm cards.
Oh, yes.
I went home with, I think, 3 sealed boxes for a total cost of not a lot. And I cracked every single pack this weekend.
Ooh, that's ballsy.
And I have put together a full set of 250 Desert Storm cards.
You got a blood bag and everything?
Yeah, it's in a binder, everything.
The Dick Cheney, the blood bag, the... Oh man, that's impressive.
We have one of the best cards ever. I've got a copy of it here because there are multiples. Heroes Don't Do Drugs.
Oh yes.
That's a big
Heroes Don't Do Drugs
favorite.
So that'll be one of our raffle prizes. You can buy as many tickets as you like and have your chance to win a full Pro Set Desert Storm collectible card
Last year, I dropped like, I don't know, 150, 200 bucks in raffle prices. All I got was a VHS tape of Schwarzenegger.
You mean you got the gem of...
I got the gem. So I turned it into a freaking deck box to take it this year, and I can't go. You don't understand how bad it hurts me that I can't be there. It's killing me. And then the Kumite next year is on my anniversary.
Oh my God.
You're freaking kidding me. I'm like, oh, the universe is against me. But yeah, I had turned that VHS into a deck box. It holds my deck. So
excellent.
When I get back there, maybe next year. It should be next year. Can't have babies 2 years in a row, right?
So
the
far.
exact same schedule.
We've got the usual Brassard altar as the crown jewel of the raffle. We've got
last one was so good too. What do you do this year? Can you give me?
They're always good. It's a Stormbind this year, but y'all have to see what it looks like.
Yeah, don't spoil it on here. It's not worth it. Save it for the event.
We got a little flash of a few more things here and there.
So I saw a Rush signature there.
Yeah, we've got a couple. We've got a couple good ones here too. So got Mario hooked us up with an awesome balance.
Ooh, that's sexy as hell.
Shaman Ben gave us a burn to Volcanic Island. That was insane. Literally burn it with a lighter.
Oh, I love that. I saw that.
Steve, is that yours?
Yeah, that was mine. That's the one I gave to Ben.
Yeah,
he donated it to them to give it away. We've been waiting to know what he was going to do with it.
We've got our stamp going here, bro. We're pumped.
Micro. Don't fear the skull.
For as disorganized and amateur as we put our image out, I think we've put together a decent
you guys did amazing. You had stuff the night before. You had a great event. I know it was spot on. That's all you want from old school. But I want to Steve. What's your thoughts, real quick? Because he sent Shaman Ben that dual land. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do something with it. Then he's sending back a picture of him setting it on fire. Yeah. And we've been waiting for months to see what he was going to do with it. And he donated it as a door prize to your event.
So I messaged, after we had our planning committee, I messaged a couple people for altars. And I messaged Ben as one of them. I was like, hey, I'm looking for a prize for this. You know, do whatever you want, man. Anything you got is gold with us. And he goes, I have just the thing. I'm warning you now. I'm going hard. And I was like, okay, that sounds awesome. And then he posted the pic the next day, and I was like, damn, he did go hard.
Yeah, I want that island.
This is my favorite Shaman Ben. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Ooh.
But he found it in his garage. The edges are all like ripped up and stuff, and he went ahead and altered it. It's such a great.
Is that a moss monster?
That is a moss monster.
It's a moss monster, yeah. But those like the corners are. It's like very unplayable.
Was that from COVID Day, or was that from the?
That was from COVID Day, yeah.
Yeah, so that was where I got to meet you guys, COVID Day.
Yeah, how did the rivalry start? I think it was my son. He loves to start a good rivalry, right?
Yeah, we're not. You don't need to have a rivalry with us.
Hey, come on, dude. It's great houses at war here.
Confusing. Dude, Eric is my arch nemesis, and he doesn't even fucking know it. That's the thing.
He does know it.
He knows now, but
he was going to be on
at the end of that event. I don't think he realized that he was dead to me. But yeah, it's very important.
He knows now because we were talking shit in the I think it was the Music City Discord, one of the two, and it's like, oh yeah, we got a rivalry. I was like,
those
all right,
guys, Music City guys, they're our rivals. I'm like, really? We have rivals?
Actually, the first time I said that, one of the I can't remember who was the response, but like, well, you know, if you've got issues with one of us, you got issues with all of us. We're a hive mind. And I said it was Eric, and somebody said, yeah, that's fair.
That was me.
Yeah, he's always trying to start some shit. I mean, we went to our very first like Alpha 40 event, and he's like, all right, we got shit with Beast of the Bay. I'm like, you can't fucking start shit with the Beast of the Bay. These guys are OGs. Like, no, we're going down with them. I'm like, no, we got to dial it down on the starting shit with the Beast of the Bay. And come on, pick somebody less. So
this is Spice Town, right?
Yeah, he keeps going. But yeah, he was going to be out here tonight.
When rivalry started, though, Eric had a fucking blast at that event because he even got an altar of himself puking at the gas station on the way home.
Some of the bar tab got messed up, and it cost him like $14 to drink like 75 beers and 4 meals. I don't even know what happened, but he was having the greatest day ever. He needed that day, and he got it. So
it was a good gas station. How I missed out on Kumit's Day.
Yeah, and then so coincidentally, you know, our boy Eben Hand OG threw an event, the Thrash Bash, not too long ago, and if I was more observant, as my wife tells me frequently, I would have realized what was happening, but I just assumed it was you guys. And then I saw that it was in South Bend, Indiana. I was like, man, I'm almost positive that they told me they're from Ohio, but I was pretty drunk at COVID Day, so maybe they are from Indiana.
Indiana's close to Ohio.
And I was like, I called it the Trash Bash, and I was like, yeah, fuck Eric, this is awesome. And he goes, bro, my name is Dave. I don't really know those guys. And I'm like, oh shit.
I had him on the podcast, and we went to that event, and I keep giving him shit like, the reason you had to be the Ebon Hand OG is because Ebon Hand was taken, so you can't be the original. But then it turns out the freaking guy was like playing Magic like 4 years before I was. He's a freaking legend. He's kind of an OG, so it's kind of this bullshit rivalry. We were supposed to. Well, we weren't supposed to. Everyone was like, all right, you guys need to play.
He's ours. The same thing.
No, yeah, you guys just throw down and lose your changes their name, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
We franchise. You know what I mean?
There we go. Yeah, he's just got to pay his royalties every quarter. It's
exactly.
Fine.
It's Ebon Hand, Indiana. It's Ebon Hand, West Coast. If you want to, guys, I'm speaking to you guys over there. You know,
yeah,
I'm looking at
you guys,
my desktop.
You guys should get an Ebon Hand down there somewhere, like the Eben Hand the
Yeah,
third or something.
satellites.
If you got
Hey,
some
man,
new
there's a
dude
couple
shows up,
people
just
on
name him
black.
that.
There's a couple people I hate that I could put into the Eben Hand Tennessee, so that works out great.
We'll take them.
We've actually embarked on an endeavor to infiltrate other magic groups by becoming members. So
if we
That's
see
it's
the Eben War Beast show up, we'll know who to predict. Yeah.
yeah, just someone wearing an obviously fake mustache.
Jonathan showing off that shirt again.
There it is.
I'm not taking it off until the day.
Until we got to
No,
ride.
but I did have a good time at that event. I love giving Eric a hard time, and he takes it well. But the first thing that happened was when we were at Paul's house the night before. Yeah, I have a Therese Nielsen Swords of Plowshares art tattooed on my calf, which I got many years ago before I played Old School. Swords is one of my favorite cards. I play Death and Taxes and Legacy like religiously. And that's one of my favorite arts. When that art came out, I was super stoked on it. But the first thing he said when he got there was like, bro, are you pissed that you got the wrong fucking art tattooed on your leg? And I was like, all right, this guy is dead to me. Here on out, this man is a goner. And you know what? The fact that his personality lining up the way it was after that just worked out great because he's like my favorite person to hate. And I remember at the Christmas event, I kept talking to you, Brian. I was like, hey, why isn't he here? He's like being a big pussy. He didn't want to come to the showdown. You're like, well, he's having his kid this weekend, but you can send the video if you want to talk shit. And I was like, I do. Then I just got too drunk and I forgot to get with you to record the video. Which I feel like Eric would
I wrote the
appreciate.
message back to him. I'm like, yeah, dude, you got some heat down there, man. These guys are gunning for you. Like, no matter what, they're looking for you.
I mean,
when was that?
Me, like, I'll be Eric for the event. Sorry, go ahead, Steven.
That was that same night that Brian broke that kid's heart. He's like, hey, man, will you sign this card for me? And Brian was drunk and drew like a 3-inch dick across the card with a Sharpie.
Who
and
was
the kid
that?
just
Welcome to Old School, kid.
Was it Tackle Maggot? I think that was a
No,
Tackle Maggot.
No, it wasn't the titty maggot. I did the titty maggot.
You guys were really contributing at the pre-party.
This is what we do, yes.
All I remember about that was his secret lair with his organ and the thing, and we played remember that was Paul.
Yeah, he had that secret room behind a bookcase. That was, man, the woodworking that he had done, his bar, his basement.
Incredible. And that was a crazy party, but we all
Paul
got
is
drunk.
such a sweet dude, man. He's one of the nicest people I feel like I've met
He's awesome.
in this format.
Shout out.
He's excellent.
Despite him taking you into a secret room and playing with his organ.
Yes, and then giving us all COVID.
I thought he tells that to everybody, though, right? He said he said that
That's how
everybody had to
do
do
you
that.
really
And I
know
was like,
somebody if you
okay.
haven't gone into their back room and played with their organ? Really?
Yeah, you really
I tickled it. The white keys and the black keys.
did. That kind of made my day because you were like jamming tunes on it. We're like,
Yeah,
he's like,
I
this
was
is the
playing
hymn to
Hymn to
Torah.
Torah.
And you just
I
started
was
playing
playing
shit
the
with that
hymn.
organ in the weird hidden room. And I'm like, this might be one of the greatest days of my life. And I've done
And
some
the hymn
shit.
song, it starts great, but at the end of it, it just kind of doesn't do so well.
Yeah, well, that's the other guy's hating life.
You
Yeah.
leave empty-handed afterwards, I guess.
Yeah, it has Hymn to Torah. It opens great, but the end of the song, it's just kind of
We're going to have to wrap up sometime, but I do want to talk about a couple of these quick decks. We'll get back on topic real quick, and then we can call it a night. But this thing, I don't understand. Someone explain this to me.
So he's
to
taxing up.
understand it, you have to realize that it came from the mind of Alan Finney, and that's why there are fewer than 4 of several cards.
Yeah. The two of this is an Alan staple.
Yeah.
Can I get Alan on the podcast anytime soon?
If you can dredge him up.
I don't think he knows how to work a computer. But who knows, man? Maybe if he's fixing a power plant near you, he can come by.
All right, that'd be cool.
That,
All right.
Same
This is
that
my
one
kind
played-
of guy. This is looking at this. It's got a what's that blink? It's not blink moth. What's it called?
It's a blinking spirit. The
Blinking
4-mana
spirit.
2/2
Yes,
that you can bounce for
spirit,
free.
swords, hops. I mean, he's blinking it out so he can hops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
4 pitches
crux
to
of the deck-
Stormbind.
Yeah, the crux of the deck is Jockle Hops, and then you power Stormbind with land taps.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and Lantax Orb is very, very tough to play around. Like he gets a trigger on demand any given time. It's a lot of cards that he draws, and he's got removal.
Your ammo. Yeah.
He's got a lot of removal. Just kill the Stormbind, or he'll opt
It is
you
a
out.
very strong control deck. I mean, I think it's kind of the logical conclusion in 808 of the Urnham Geddon deck. You're just taking both the Urnham and the Geddon out of the deck.
This thing is beautiful. Yeah.
It's a work of art.
All right, what do we got here? All right.
Steven. That's a good deck.
Bless Steven.
This is the most burniest deck we've had, and it was a heater.
Yeah.
Bolts, Incinerates, Black Vice. Oh, Psyblast. Javelineers are chucking shit at you, and the gold bordered ship. Savannah Lances are beautiful.
2 monkeys. Yeah.
Double monkey, once for mill.
He got second at this event. He and I both only died to Cayce, actually, in this event.
Yeah, I beat him.
What's that one falling star? Look at that.
Yeah.
Falling Star was
such an insane
Falling Star's available in gold.
Star.
Oh shit! There's a gold border Falling Star. Hang on.
No.
Well,
there
there
is
not.
so bad. Hang on.
There is now.
There's a make playing cards edition of a gold bordered Falling Star.
Oh damn it!
We're big. We're big on NPC. I think they're
That's
actually
cool. I know. I appreciate that, but I was about to anti that thing all freaking day. It doesn't exist. Damn.
But no, this is the Lion Dib Bolt, what we've dubbed Wonder Bread, but this is actually a cool version because it's using Gorilla Shaman. It's using Javelineers.
Incinerate.
Pyroblast in there.
Yeah, Javelineers they were sneaky good.
Huge games.
Especially against opposing Gorilla Shamans.
Yeah. And all the white pump knights that are in the room, they kill a lot of shit, man. And sometimes, people strategically play to not die to a single bolt, and a Javelineer can get you over the edge. So does the Psyblast, of course. And having Merchant Scroll that can get a Psyblast is really fun. I love the one of Psyblast target in Merchant Scroll decks, man. It's such a nice ad.
And where
the
do I
Necro
get
deck.
gold bordered power? Where's it?
Same thing. These Music City specials, I guess, is what you call them, whatever you want to call them.
If you give us $1,000, we'll give you 60 random gold bordered cards from beta.
What are you?
Were those for more?
Oh, can you give me 4 packs of MTG 32 for that kind of money?
These are better.
I'll need the money up front.
Yeah, these are
Get
better.
the money up front. What do you stock market? The stock price just crashed. Damn. All right, what do we got on this one? This one's pretty typical. This got Ernie, so this is Steven's.
I feel
He's
like
played more
one-
Urnhams than I know
one
of
Armac.
anyone in my circle.
Urnhams was the biggest creature in the room. I was not. I built my deck to deal with all the creatures I normally run into, and when Cayce played an Urnham and stuck it, I was just like, I'm gonna die. I can't beat this fucking thing. And sure enough, I could not beat it.
So I ran this in a subsequent event online, and I dropped the main deck Pyroblast for a 4th Ernie, and then I think I don't remember how I placed, but I did not run the table at that point. But I think I went 2-2. But in this room on this day, this was enough to go. What were we? 4-0.
Yeah, it was 4-0. You 4-0.
Wait, is this a freaking autograph sign Wheel of Fortune?
That's a good. Yeah, that's a sweet, sweet wheel.
Yeah, I went pretty hard.
That's from Lord's house.
Yeah, I got a Mirror Universe done it the same way too.
Holy shit!
This deck though, this kind of takes cues from the first years of vintage, or the first year of vintage, playing what the team from New York or the players from New York played.
That's why you called it New York Zoo. Okay, I wasn't sure where that came from, so that's cool.
Yeah,
Brooklyn Zoo, if we will.
Yeah, I mean the point here: all 5 colors, all all of my creatures minus Gorilla Shaman are impervious to a single bolt. No factories. So I'm just full on burn, removal, Black Vice, tempo out of the board, and Stormbinds out of the board were insane. All of my big creatures were super good. Again, Demonic Tutor for the draw 7s. This was a really fun deck to play.
Yeah, this thing's cool.
And what was funny about the event that we had in Chattanooga where I won this is we played 4 rounds and it was such a fast room, we finished in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just enough time to booster draft 35 random ass packs.
Right.
So all right, we talked about that one. This is a
that's another development.
Yeah, it's another Allen deck, but he put blue in it this time. He didn't have it the first time around.
I think Al might be my favorite. Is he running for president? Because I'll vote for his ass. This guy's.
Trust me, he's hard to miss. You'll know.
Is there a Spice Award, by the way, at this event? You know, now that we're talking about it.
I do. So I've got. We've got a lot of prizes, but we do specifically have a spiciest and a highest unpowered prize for this event.
Ooh. So even though we are full proxy, there is incentive to not play power cards.
The last Christmas we had Nick V hooked us up with a beautiful Gorilla Shaman altar. Mm-hmm. He was like wearing a Gucci chain with all the mocks on it for highest unpowered. That thing
was so cool. Yeah,
I was so jealous of that one, man. That was an amazing prize. But Nick hooked us up again this year. We got a lot of really good altars for this pot. So
I just noticed the drop of honey in the bottom right.
Yeah, man. I mean, this was a crazy pile. Is this what he played at the Giggle Ball?
It's got to be. He got first in it.
No, he didn't get first at the Giggle Ball.
Oh wait, this was what was that other event we did mainly online?
Oh,
Big Chill.
Yeah, the Big Chill. Yeah, because that's where I played Reanimator. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't get to play against him for that event.
I love the rainbow veil right here with the land tax.
Huge.
Alan, is this? You said this is Alan's deck here?
Alan again. Alan. Yeah.
Come see me, man.
Dude, if I was coming, I would do Alan
anyway.
for president.
I'm gonna be wearing this shirt.
I would do the Ebon Hand supports Alan for president, and that's what we'd be wearing. But no, I got another shirt.
Yeah, go ahead and bring him an Ebon Hand Dojo shirt. Just make sure it can fit. How tall is that? Crazy.
This one's a large. You know what I mean? I like a fitted.
Real quick,
bigger than I.
We need to talk about this because
Bob
put some effort into this nonsense. That was the craziest thing I've seen in quite a while.
He had like a hotel ice bucket that he was using to like shuffle his deck, and he would just grab pogs from the bucket. It was amazing.
I love it.
So instead of playing cards, he played pogs.
Poison? You call poison?
I had the luxury of trying to flip a Chaos Orb onto his pogs. That was a fun experience.
It's beautiful.
If you had played Falling Star, you would have had more success.
If they only meant in gold border.
I loved this. So I have gone. I've gone kind of mad doing all the proxy stuff. I've got a lot of custom things, and then fucking Bob walks in last year, and he's like, "I have a deck of Pogs. It's in a bucket," and I'm like, "I'm running the tournament," and I'm looking at it. I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool. Do that."
It was so crazy, and he was so casual about it. Like, oh yeah, let me shuffle, and he would just shake his bucket.
It's
and then he would put stuff out, and like the people that were new had no clue what was going on, and the people that knew what was going on were so blown away by it. It was such a cool thing.
And it's a good deck.
It's like not a bad deck at all. Yeah, he might have went a little hard on the
Spirit Links.
Spirit Links, yeah, but
I think the coolest thing about it is when punching out the pog, he gets the coin on the disenchant like exactly.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Now that I know that disenchant's about a pog, it makes the card a lot better.
We did realize the difficulty in determining the orientation of a round card, though.
Yeah.
Which is, it makes you pay attention.
Yeah,
I'm really glad my collection isn't pogs, but this was a hopefully a one time super cool thing. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back this year and play the same deck. I don't know.
I hope someone one-ups him.
Yeah, I'm curious
You
what the
call
next
poison
innovation
on
is.
this, and you're screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, we're running a little bit long. All right, guys, any closing statements, I guess, before we should probably wrap this thing up? Where do they find the information if they still, and there's still time to go, right?
I will have to see what our guest list looks like. I mean, find me on Discord.
Yep.
KCG.
Yep. Or
And,
Josh B. We can talk.
or Josh B. Those are the best ways to get a hold of us to inquire. But yeah, I mean, thanks for having us on. Thanks for giving some exposure. But we really love Alpha Alliances. We like that you guys dig it too. And we know there.
Dramatic pause.
Dramatic pause. We lost him.
Oh,
Well,
where did I pause?
We know that
You were excited that they were also into A to A. That's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
So we know that I am the most brilliant and handsome of the Nashville crew.
Easy. And he has won the last two 8A tournaments that we've hosted. So he's the back-to-back champ.
Somebody's
I'll be
shut
damned
this
if
shit
he
down.
loses, man. Yours to lose. Personally
Dude,
take
if Eric didn't have another kid, he would be down there beating that ass down. He would.
Yeah, because we're gonna take you down, punks, your rivals.
We're sending our second.
I will say I will graciously step back from the top tables this year because I don't think that my list is going to be enough to get me to number one. And I just want to play the list. It's going to be fun regardless. But no, thanks for the exposure. We think that Alpha Alliances is really cool and more people should try it out because it's very interesting.
100%, man. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Hang on.
Josh, any final words?
You should, if you guys can, just bring some of those anti-decks. I would love to see what those. I want to play some games. I
can shoot you the quick rules. It's pretty basic. Yeah, no mind twist. We did one strip mine, one factory.
I'm putting all those in my deck, so just FYI.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, I didn't see them on the list. Sorry, guys.
Whatever. Yeah, we all do that. We all do that shit. One contract, one bird, and then it's just Alpha Alliances, like old.
If you're looking to get into it, man, I'll bring. I got a little case with a few decks in it and some of the Evan mocks. That way, you guys can.
I'd love.
You can get in on a few of the Evan mocks while they're still available, because those things are, at some point we really hope that they run out, and then people don't win them through ante.
That's right.
And
if you're not careful,
they are a little busted. So the green mocks, you can sack it to give a creature +2/+2, and the black one you can sack it to add 2 black mana. So it's kind of like a dark ritual. It's all the Fallen Empires stuff.
Oh,
so
that's really cool. Okay.
Yeah. So we're kind of doing that as moxes. They're insanely busted. I mean,
if you bring them to Nashville, just be aware we are the bootleggers, so you'll probably wind up with those getting proxy.
Not a problem. Yeah. I will send you the art if you want it.
Yeah, that name was not chosen in 2018 because we like to proxy, but man, it is awfully appropriate now.
Yeah, dude, I love it.
Oh, I expect it. I'm bringing my mini Lotus.
Let's go.
It's a little teeny tiny Lotus.
Let's go. That sounds awesome.
No, Jonathan's the greatest proxy ever. So one last story before we call it. Like we were like, all right, let's do a proxy event. And he's like, yeah, the printer didn't work out right. And the freaking the goddamn emerald was so tiny on a giant white piece of paper all cut out, like in a sleeve.
You gotta get, you gotta get the aspect ratio right. Sometimes you undershoot it.
Aspect ratio was
My
off.
mini
It was
Lotus just
amazing.
said it only taps for 2. It breaks cracks for 2. So
It was smaller dogs.
Beautiful.
Man, speaking of ridiculous proxy, in the Giggle Ball, we did have somebody that made this beautiful Monty Python themed deck. Everything was altered to be a Monty Python. And some of them were just on pieces of like white paper with Sharpie, right? But there's one particular card I just thought it was absolutely amazing. If you look at it, you can find it in the deck list, but it was a Black Knight. So it's a white piece of paper and it says Black Knight. And then the knight is crossed out and then it says Lotus below it. And I was like, man, this guy made a power move right before the event. He's like, I don't know which one's better, but I'm gonna try this Lotus out.
Going with the Lotus. That's amazing.
It's so hilarious, dude. When I saw that in there, I was just dying.
Well, looking forward to the event. Really, really excited, guys. Really excited.
Yeah.